We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
Hello there, this is another News Periscope podcast where we round up the news from around the world over the past 7 days. My name is Titilayo Oyinson. President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with parents, relations of students killed in Ojodu incident. Information Minister Lai Mohammed tells UK to rescind decision to include Nigeria on red list. First Lady of Lagos State, Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, describes Sylvester's death as a big slap on Lagos government's face. Lagos State Police Command orders probe into the death of 8 children inside car in Badagry. On the foreign scene, India military chief, wife, 11 others killed in helicopter crash. Different, tougher variant of Omicron spotted in South Africa, Australia, and Canada. Russia says it's not planning to invade Ukraine. And in entertainment, Empire actor Jussie Smollett found guilty of faking hate crime. And for sports, Spurs to request for postponement of EPL tie against Brighton after positive COVID-19 outbreak. And now to details. We begin from Abuja, Nigeria, where Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed has described the United Kingdom's decision to put Nigeria on its red list over the Omicron variant of COVID-19 as unjust, unfair, punitive, indefensible, and discriminatory. Addressing a press conference on Monday in Abuja, Mohammed said the decision was not driven by science. He expressed hope that the UK government would immediately review and rescind its decision.
A decision by the British government to put Nigeria on the red list just because of less than 2 dozen cases of Omicron, which, by the way, did not originate in Nigeria, is unjust, unfair, punitive, indefensible, and discriminatory. The decision is also not driven by science or common sense. How do you slam this kind of discriminatory action on a country of 200 million people just because of less than 2 dozen cases? More importantly, whereas British citizens and residents are allowed to come in from Nigeria to Britain, non-residents from the same country are banned. The two groups are coming from the same country but being subjected to different conditions. Why won't Britain allow people in both categories to come in and be subjected to the same conditions of testing and quarantine? This is why this decision to ban travelers from Nigeria, who are neither citizens nor residents, is grossly discriminatory and punitive.
Also reacting, Nigeria's High Commissioner to London, Sarafa Tunji Ishola, said there was no need for a travel ban as Omicron is not an African disease. Tunji Ishola said a travel ban will not resolve the problem.
Nigeria's position is the position of the Secretary General of the United Nations, and he has termed the travel bans as travel apartheid. If we look at the issue, you cannot but agree with the position of the United Nations. And Nigeria absolutely aligned with that. We are dealing with a pandemic. It's not an endemic. If you are dealing with an endemic that is peculiar to specific places, that would be understandable. This is about the 4th variant of COVID. COVID, ab initio, did not even originate from Africa. So it's not an African disease, per se. So the issue is South Africa has been honest enough to bring the attention of the world to it. What we expect is collaboration under the coordination of WHO, which has been the case since COVID thing started 11th March 2020, when WHO classified it as a pandemic.
The Supreme Court in Abuja has abruptly adjourned a hearing in the legal battle of former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondus, challenging his removal from office before the expiration of his 4-year tenure. The suit, slated for hearing on December 6th by the Apex Court, was shifted by 24 hours following the non-appearance in the court of one of the key defendants, Dan Obi. When the matter came up, it was discovered that Obi, who is the 8th defendant in the appeal, was not personally present in court and was not represented by counsel. Rather, his earlier counsel, Chief Godwin Obla, wrote the court informing it that Obi has not briefed him to properly stand his counsel at the Supreme Court. However, counsel to Uche Secondus, Oba Maduabuchi, protested the development, claiming that Obi was not sued by his client, but that the defendant imposed himself on the excuse of being zonal chairman of PDP. Justice Muhammad Musa Datijo, who led a 5-man panel justice of the court, fixed December 7th for a hearing of all pending applicants in respect of that matter. The Bauchi State High Court has issued an interim order restraining Mai Malabuni-led caretaker committee of the ruling All Progressives Congress from inaugurating the recently elected Babayo Aliyu Misau-led executive members in the state. A copy of the interim injunction issued on Friday last week by the court, made available to journalists in Bauchi at the weekend, restrained Bunni, who is also governor of Yobe State. Minister of Education Malam Adamu and former Speaker House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara and their privies, agents and representatives in whatever capacity from administering the oath of office on Misau and his house back room recognition as Bauchi APC leaders. The court further ordered Misau and others elected as party executive members recently in the state to stop parading themselves in whatsoever manner or means or acting in whatever capacities or names called as Bauchi State Executive Officers of APC, pending the hearing of the substantive suit filed. Away from that matter, the wife of the Lagos State Governor, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, has condoled with the parents of late Sylvester Oromoni, the 12-year-old student of Dowen College, who died from injuries allegedly sustained from fellow students. Recall that the state government has sealed off the school after a public outcry for probe since the news broke last week. In an interview with journalists, Dr. Mrs. Sanwo-Olu described the incident as heartbreaking.
The Lagos State government, I'm aware, is doing investigation on this current issue that is on. And honestly, it is something that we're not very happy about. It's a big slap on the face of Lagos State, both the community, both the educational system, and Lagos State as a whole.
Meanwhile, the family of the late Senator Buruji Kashamu has in a statement expressed regret over the death of Sylvester Oromoni Jr. While confirming that one of their sons, Michael Kashamu, was named among the suspected bullies of the deceased, the family called for calm and declared support for the ongoing investigation into the matter. National Coordinator Education Rights Campaign Hassan Soweto insists the matter should not be swept under the carpet.
First thing is that the Education Rights Campaign commiserates with the family of the deceased, as well as Nigerians who have expressed anger and disgust over this very tragic development. And we think that this development itself underscores the danger that the ARC has been talking about of the government handing over education to private interests. Because what we have seen is a situation whereby the school, instead of taking responsibility, is trying to cover up the issue in order to save its own image. Meanwhile, the life of a young man is important. What we will demand right now, is for a democratic investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of this person.
In another development, the Lagos State Police Command has ordered a probe into the death of 8 children inside an abandoned car in Badagry area of the state. Spokesman of the State Command, Adekunle Ajishebutu, in a statement, said that the corpses of the children had been deposited in a morgue. The kids were said to be returning from Arabic school when they got inside the SUV and mistakenly locked themselves in, as efforts to unlock the door proved abortive. Speaking later with us, Ashebutu said the police are yet to make any arrest on the matter.
The Commissioner of Police, CP Akile Dumosu, has directed that the investigation should be carried out with immediate effect. I would want to refrain from further comment on the outcome of our investigation, but I can assure you that the investigation is going to as speedily as possible. Not to my knowledge for now.
On his part, the Director, Muslim Rights Concern, Professor Ishaq Akintola, who called for a proper probe into the incident, urged parents to ensure proper monitoring of their children.
It's very unfortunate. We know it may not have been deliberate. Nobody will shut up school children in a vehicle and leave them there till they die. The vehicle owner probably forgot to wind down or something, and the children were probably too young. I don't know the details of the story, but it's a very, very sad case. And it should be properly investigated by the security agencies. If they are not involved yet, I think they should be involved. And of course, motorists who are parents and who take children to school or to madrasas should be careful. They should learn a lesson from this incident. They should not leave children alone in cars, particularly those who will not be able to take care of themselves when inside vehicles.
Belarus has rejected the Western media reports alleging that Russia intends to invade Ukraine. According to the Belarusian president, Alexander Lukashenko, the West has now labeled Russia as if it's planning an attack on Ukraine. Lukashenko said there needs to be a reason to beat Russia, so the Western media put a label on it, although no one in Russia is going to attack the Ukraine. In sports, Thomas Partey has given his Arsenal performances a 4 out of 10 rating since joining the club last year. Last October, Partey joined Arsenal from Atletico Madrid in a deadline day move that was heralded as a triumph for the club. While the Ghanaian has shown flashes of his talent, a string of injuries has kept him from consistently making an impact. Mikel Arteta's only fit options, with Granit Xhaka out injured, are Albert Sambi Lokonga and Ainsley Maitland-Niles, as well as the rarely used Mohamed Elneny. The 28-year-old was chastised after Arsenal's 3-2 loss to Manchester United at Old Trafford last week, and he was anxious to improve on that defeat for the match upcoming, which was Arsenal taking on Everton that same evening. On Tuesday, Nigeria's federal government described the ban on flights from Nigeria over COVID-19 Omicron variant as discriminatory. Addressing a press conference in Abuja, Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed said the decision was not driven by science. Mohammed described the decision to put Nigeria on its red list over the Omicron variant of COVID-19 as unjust, unfair, punitive, and indefensible.
The decision by the British government to put Nigeria on the red list just because of less than 24 cases of Omicron, which, by the way, did not originate in Nigeria, is unjust, unfair, punitive, indefensible, and discriminatory. The decision is also not driven by science or common sense. How do you slam this kind of discriminatory action on a country of 200 million people just because of less than 24 cases? More importantly, whereas British citizens and residents are allowed to come in from Nigeria to Britain, non-residents from the same country are banned. The two groups are coming from the same country, but being subjected to different conditions. Why won't Britain allow people in both categories to come in and be subjected to the same conditions of testing and quarantine? This is why this decision to ban travelers from Nigeria, who are neither citizens nor residents, is grossly discriminatory and punitive.
On Nigeria's response to confirmed cases of the Omicron variant, this is what Lai Mohammed had to say.
Under the revised protocol, passengers arriving in Nigeria are expected to provide evidence of and comply with the following rules. 1. COVID-19 PCR test to be done within 48 hours before departure. Post-arrival day 2 COVID-19 PCR test. Self-isolation for 7 days for unvaccinated and partially vaccinated individuals. Day 7 post-arrival exit PCR test for unvaccinated and partially vaccinated individuals.
Also reacting, Nigeria's High Commissioner to London, Sarafa Tunji Ishola, said there was no need for a travel ban as Omicron is not an African disease.
Nigeria's position is the position of the Secretary General of the United Nations, and he has termed the travel bans as travel apartheid. If we look at the issue, you cannot but agree with the position of the United Nations, and Nigeria absolutely aligned with that. We are dealing with a pandemic. It's not an endemic. If you are dealing with an endemic that is peculiar to specific places, that will be understandable. This is about the fourth variant of COVID. COVID, ab initio, did not even originate from Africa. So it's not an African disease, per se. So the issue is South Africa has been honest enough to bring the attention of the world to it. What we expect is collaboration under the coordination of WHO, which has been the case since COVID thing started 11th March 2020, when WHO classified it as a pandemic.
Moving on, the Organization for Community Civic Engagement has said the National Assembly must veto the Electoral Reform Bill 2021 if President Muhammadu Buhari refuses to sign it, threatening to go to court if the Assembly does not act. The group accused President Buhari of applying delay tactics in signing the bill, just as he did in 2019, which compelled the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to use the 2010 Electoral Act in the conduct of the election, despite its deficiencies. Speaking to newsmen in Kano, the executive director of OSEN, Abdurazak Al-Khali, said the National Assembly has done a wonderful job, and this is the first time that the legislature, the CSOs, and generalities of Nigerians are on the same page. He said the president needs to do away with selfish interests of some Nigerian politicians and focus on what is best and in the best interest of Nigeria and its citizens. Also speaking on the issue on a monitored program, Executive Director Yaga Africa, Samson Itodo, said it is taking far too long for the president to sign.
In the event he doesn't accelerate his assent, we might end up with a bill that will still maintain an inchoate status by January next year. And if the National Assembly proceeds on recess, it won't resume until the second week of January. And that's few weeks before the FCT municipal elections. That's also few weeks before the commencement of the primaries for the Ekiti and Osun elections. So this amendment is time sensitive. That's why we expect that by this week, the president should have assented to the bill. I don't expect that the president would decline to the bill before him, because that bill is a representation of the will and aspirations of Nigerians. Except if the president is telling Nigerians that when it comes to a decision on electoral amendments, the interest of certain individuals supersedes the collective interest of the people. And in that case, he will be acting in variance with the commitment that he has made that this bill, which he would assent to, will be a bill that reflects the will and aspirations of the Nigerian people.
However, the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, said his principal is currently consulting with all stakeholders, including the Independent National Electoral Commission, before making his position known on the issue. In Ethiopia, 6 nations, including the United States, say they are profoundly concerned about reports that the Ethiopian government is carrying out mass detentions based on ethnicity without charge. The Ethiopian government in November declared a state of emergency as rebel forces from the Tigray region began approaching the capital, Addis Ababa. following a year-long war with government forces. Ethiopia's government says it's detaining people suspected of supporting Tigray rebels. But human rights groups, including the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Amnesty International, and Ethiopia's own Human Rights Commission report widespread arrests of ethnic Tigrayans, including Orthodox priests, older people, and mothers caring for children. The statement was signed by the US government along with Australia, Britain, Canada, Denmark, and the Netherlands. Thousands of the Gambian citizens have taken to the streets in protest after the December 4th presidential election results. The election, contested by 6 candidates, was won by the incumbent president, Adama Barrow. Barrow, who contested the election under the flagship of the National People's Party, polled 457,519 votes to defeat his closest rival, Usaino Darboe, in the United Democratic Party, who garnered 238,253 votes. FIFA has revealed that Chelsea will face their Club World Cup semi-final opponents on February 9th, 2022 at the Mohammed bin Zayed Stadium in Abu Dhabi. Chelsea will face Al Jazeera, Al Hilal, or Auckland City, the reigning European champions. Palmeiras will face either Al Ahly or Monterrey in their semi-final on February 8th. The February 12th match will take place with the Blues almost guaranteed a slot in the basis of form and level. Now, Chelsea will play 2 games in the UAE, yet as implausible as it is, they'll play in third place playoffs with the Al Nahyan Stadium in Abu Dhabi if they lose their February 9th semi-final. The tournament was originally scheduled to be held in Japan, but they backed out due to COVID-19 fears in September. Now, on Wednesday, we began on a sad note as several school children have been feared dead as a truck rammed into some students in the Ojodu Bega area of Lagos State, Nigeria. It was gathered that the driver of the vehicle lost control before hitting the unspecified number of school children. The sad incident is coming barely 2 days after 8 children of Arabic school died in an abandoned car in Badagry area of the state. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Hakeem Odumosu, confirmed the accident in an interview. He said the exact number of casualties is still sketchy, although it is believed that about 15 students are feared dead. After hitting the school children, the police boss explained that the truck driver made attempts to escape but was chased by police operatives before being arrested. Upon his arrest, he was detained at the Ojodu police station, where some angry mob tried to lynch the driver but were resisted by the police. At least 3 students of the Dowen College, Lekki in Lagos are currently assisting the police in their investigation into the death of SYLVESTER OROMONI Jr., a 12-year-old student of the college. The State Commissioner of Police, Hakeem Odumosu, made this known in an interview. Odumosu said 3 of the 5 students mentioned by SYLVESTER before he died are already in custody and cooperating with police in their findings. Although Odumosu did not give the identities of those in custody, he insisted that they are key suspects. The police boss explained that the command is set to go for the post-mortem of the body in Delta State to ascertain the cause of death. Human rights activist Toyi Rahim wants the police to be diligent in their investigation and avoid sweeping the matter under the carpet.
This matter at hand is something that the whole world is interested in, and the police should not let us down. Formal investigation must be made by statute of the ESC said by part of the Police Act, the Invade Police Act. It is incumbent on the police to investigate matters and apprehend offenders. And regardless of the sequence of who those people are, they must be punished. They must be punished. The spirit of this young boy is crying for justice. Justice must not only be seen, must be seen to have been done. They must be apprehended and punished. Information reaching us that certain person that won't taking their children out of the country. I cannot portray whether it's correct or not. The truth of the matter, they must be found.
Still on Wednesday, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has confirmed 3 more cases of the Omicron variant of the COVID-19. 3 cases had earlier been announced on December 1st, bringing the total number of confirmed cases of Omicron to 6. According to the statement, all the Omicron cases so far were detected in persons with recent travel history to South Africa in November. Spokesperson of the Nigerian Medical Association, Dr. Anikeme Uwa, said the discovery of Omicron variant should serve as a wake-up call that the pandemic is still alive.
We are really concerned about the detection of the new variant of the COVID-19 virus in the country. Recently we had 3, and just today, more cases were reported, which goes to show that it's not yet uhuru, in our efforts towards controlling the COVID-19 pandemic in the country. Yeah, recently we've discovered that we've not really had as many deaths as we had in the first and second waves, and most of us have let down our guards. Most states are not as proactive as they were. Then even for the individuals, people are not using their face mask anymore. People are not socially distancing themselves. People are not washing their hands as frequently as possible with running water, and people are also not using their hand sanitizers. So many things are being taken for granted.
He said the NMA is worried over the deliberate refusal by some Nigerians to take the COVID-19 vaccines.
Lucky enough for us, we have the COVID-19 vaccines. But very sadly, most people are yet to, go for the vaccination because of so many conspiracy theories and all that, So people are afraid of dying in the next 2 years. People are afraid of being infertile because of this vaccine. People are saying that magnetic substances are injected into their bodies, so their bodies could become magnetic and all that. All those are conspiracy theories. So I encourage our people to, imbibe the pharmacological modalities for prevention of COVID-19. And very important is to go out and get vaccinated. Get your doses of the vaccines that are available. Very recently, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and also people could take their booster doses and all that. So people should avail themselves of these opportunities that they get protected against COVID-19.
Now, the Nigeria Senate has condemned the ban slammed on travelers from Nigeria by the UK over Omicron, a COVID-19 variant. The upper legislative chamber condemnation followed a motion sponsored by Ike Ekweremadu, senator representing Enugu West. The UK put the country on its red list at the weekend after Nigeria recorded 3 cases of the Omicron variant. While moving his motion, Ekweremadu said Nigeria's efforts in curbing the spread of COVID-19 is satisfactory, adding that the country has the lowest number of cases of the infection. The Senate asked the federal government to engage the UK authorities with a view to reversing the decision. At another forum, the chairman Presidential Committee on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, described the ban as hasty.
The British government have decided to add Nigeria to the red list. We are reviewing that, we are looking at it, and Nigeria will respond appropriately. We would meet over it and look at all the issues that have been raised, and a response will come out of that.
On the foreign scene, at least 38 people have died and scores more have been injured in a fire which tore through a prison in Burundi. Vice President Prosper Bazumbaza told reporters the blaze hit an overcrowded facility in the capital, Gitega, with at least 69 people seriously injured. Images circulating online show a building engulfed in flames and piles of bodies said to be of inmates of the jail. A tweet posted by Burundi's Interior Ministry said a short circuit was to blame for the fire, which started around 4 a.m. local time. Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel has said Mateo Kovacic testing positive for COVID-19 is a huge setback for the club. The Croatian midfielder has returned to training on Monday after being out since October with a hamstring problem, but tested positive on Tuesday. Chelsea, last season's tournament winners, have already qualified for Champions League last 16, and a win in St. Petersburg will ensure they progress as group winners. Tuchel had hoped to ease 27-year-old Kovacic back into action this week, with N'Golo Kante sidelined with a knee issue and Jorginho struggling with a back niggle, which will keep him out of Wednesday's game. President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with parents, relations, and friends of Ojodu Grammar School students who lost their lives in an accident on Tuesday along Isheri Road in Lagos State, Nigeria. In a statement issued by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the president condoled with the government and people of Lagos State and the authorities of Ojodu Grammar School over the sad and painful loss of the promising lives that were cut short in the tragic accident. However, protesting students numbering about 1,000 as early as 8 a.m. on Wednesday blocked the Ojodu Berger Way along Ogunusi Road Grammar School bus stop in protest of the deaths of their colleagues. Sector Commander Operations of Lagos Federal Road Safety Commission, Matthew Zonga, reacted to the protest that followed the accident, during which some students burnt the truck and some other vehicles.
One of the patrol team leaders called office to inform us that they've just been intimated of a crash at around Grammar School police station and that he was leaving to the place. So on getting to the place again, he called back after some 5 minutes that he's there, but the rescue needs more hands. So we should call another team to come and assist him in rescuing the victims. Road safety is not the one that caused this accident. Ours was we were called for rescue operation, which we actually did. It's just a misconception of everything. But we have equally intimated the police and the civil defense to come and secure the structure and personnel.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State government has suspended academic activities at the Ojodu Grammar School, Ojodu Berger area of the state following the killing and injuring of several students of the school by a heavy-duty truck on Tuesday. The Commissioner for Education, Folashade Adefisayo, disclosed this to journalists on Wednesday. She said that the college would be shut down till January, when students would return and write their end-of-term exams, interrupted by the incident. Meanwhile, officials of the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASMA, went into hiding as students of the school allegedly attempted to lynch them. Residents of the area confirmed that the students had been seeking out LASMA officials since Tuesday over their alleged involvement in a collision between a truck and multiple students of the school, leaving some dead and many injured. Eyewitnesses alleged that the truck driver was trying to escape from some LASMA and road safety officials when he lost control and rammed into the students. In another development, protesters on Wednesday barricaded the entrance of Dowen College in Lekki area of Lagos State to protest the death of 12-year-old SYLVESTER Oromoni at the school. The late student was allegedly attacked by some of his senior colleagues for refusing to join a cult group. His cousin Perison had gone on social media to narrate how he had died and went as far as calling out the names of his cousin's alleged killers. More than 100,000 persons have also signed a petition domiciled on the change.org platform seeking the arrest of those fingered in the incident and their swift prosecution. In a video uploaded on social media, some protesters were seen at the school gate demanding that the school authorities be held accountable for failing to protect the deceased. This is coming after the Commissioner of Police in the state, Hakeem Odumosu, told reporters that some suspects allegedly involved in the death of Oromoni had been arrested.
The students whose names were mentioned in that are in the police custody. All of them? Yes, the students whose names were in police custody. And investigation is on. And equally too, I've got to join my colleague in Delta State. So yesterday I spoke with the mother of the deceased. We got them invited. So once they come now, we'll be able to get the full facts of the case. The school have told us the whole facts of the case, of the story. So the parents too, they get the whole facts of the story from the parents. And more importantly, the postmortem. We discussed it extensively yesterday. And because we have about 4 groups now, that is the families of the children that are alleged, 1, the school's authority, 2, now the family of the deceased, 3, and the government. So the 4 teams now will have to team together now to do and witness the postmortem so that it's going to be objective. For all the students that make attempt to break the law, There's nobody above the law. Even somebody at the age of 5 or the age of 10. So there are laws for juveniles. There are detention centers for juveniles. Like all the students now of Dowen, they are not going to be detained. They are not being detained with adults. So we have juvenile courts. So we have juvenile detention facilities now. So no student should think that I'm a student and I commit offense, a criminal offense, and go scot-free. No.
India's Defence Chief, General Bipin Rawat, his wife and 11 other people were killed after a military helicopter they were travelling in crashed. According to the Indian Air Force, General Rawat was on board a Russian-made Mi-17 V5 chopper when it crashed into a forest near Kunnur, Tamil Nadu on Wednesday. The 63-year-old defence chief, his wife, Madhulika Rawat, and other officers were among 14 people on the chopper, which took off from Sulur Air Force Station. Nigeria's federal government on Friday began to administer the booster doses of COVID-19 vaccine to counter the spread of the new Omicron variant in Nigeria. Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaib, said that this at the flag-off of COVID-19 mass vaccination of refugees, migrants, and internally displaced persons in Abuja. Shuaib further reiterated that the Nigerian COVID-19 vaccination program is science-driven, adding that the evidence has shown that the booster dose further increases protection against the virus. Dr. Faisal Shuaib also speaks on the implication of expired vaccines on the ongoing mass vaccination exercise. At least 54 persons have been killed and scores more injured after a truck they were being transported in crashed in southern Mexico. More than 150 people said to be migrants from Central America were crammed into the truck's trailer when it rolled in the state of Chiapas. Pictures show victims strewn across the road next to the overturned truck. Rescue workers rushing to a highway accident found a horrific scene of death and injury after a freight truck jammed with as many as 200 migrants tipped over and crashed into the base of a steel pedestrian bridge in southern Mexico. In entertainment, a Chicago jury has found American actor Jussie Smollett guilty of lying to the police about racism and a homophobic attack against him in 2019. The Empire actor had reported an attack against him back in January 2019 while he walked home at night in Chicago. The attack, according to him, was carried out by two masked men who put a noose around his neck, poured chemicals on him, and yelled racist and homophobic slurs at him while declaring their support for Donald Trump. Things took a turn in February when Smollett was arrested by police who accused him of paying two Nigerian brothers, Abimbola, an extra on the Empire set, and Olabinjo Oshundairo, to stage the reported assault. The duo, who were prosecution witnesses in their testimony, said that the actor paid them $3,500 to stage the assault as a ploy to get public sympathy and boost his acting career. They also claimed Smollett gave them lines to yell, including MAGA country, in reference to former President Donald Trump's Make Nigeria Great Again slogan. The jury, after a 9-hour deliberation, found Smollett guilty on 5 out of 6 counts of disorderly conduct for lying to police. Judge James Lynn, who presided over the case, set a post-trial hearing for January 27th. He also said he would schedule Smollett's sentencing at a later date. And that's a wrap on this week's edition of the News Periscope podcast. Once again, my name is Titilayo Oyinson. Please, if you have any updates or news stories you would like to share, reach out via social media at TT the Dynamite, or indeed reach out on WhatsApp on 0805 4444 795. Once again, thanks for listening.
We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.